The Street Files, a complete mystery short story, every Wednesday. File 29. The Man Who Died Twice. James Carter slams the door to his flat at 1A Princess Road in Maida Vale in northwest London, and he walks to Kilburn High Road to catch the N98 night bus from outside Anytime Fitness. He pushes his brown hair across his forehead and rubs his brown eyes to push the last flecks of sleep from his head that linger despite him having just had a shower. He'd started this job as early morning manager at St Anne's Hotel 4 years ago. St Anne's is an exclusive 5-star boutique hotel in the middle of London's Soho district. It's named after St Anne's Court, where it sits, just off Dean Street, stuffed in between the roads and alleyways that are never quiet nor empty, even at 4 in the morning. And James sees Soho at 4 in the morning on 5 days out of every 7. Like always, he sits upstairs at the front of the red bus and watches the early morning activity build from his eyrie until he disembarks on Oxford Street and cuts down into the back roads of Soho to reach the hotel. He does the handover from the night manager, who is Barry Dale, a man who James has never liked. The sliding door at the entrance closes after Barry, and the man disappears up St Anne's Court, en route to his home in Stockwell. James stands behind the desk and moves the phones, papers and pens to the places that he likes them. Then he takes a breath out. The hotel is quiet this morning. No last-minute tourists rushing to catch their flights from one of London's airports. James makes a cup of tea and watches the steam twist into the air. The hands on the large silver clock on the wall of reception keep moving on before a red light on the switchboard starts to flash above the number 6. "Reception," he says after lifting the wired handset. He clicks the mouse next to the computer to display the guest list. "How can I help, Mrs. Fairfax?" The woman is crying, and he narrows his eyes as he tries to understand exactly what she's saying. He gets some idea, but decides that it will be better to go and see her. "I'll come up, madam." He takes the stairs, as he doesn't get much exercise apart from that. On the second floor, he pushes the door from the stairwell and walks along the subtly lit corridor, painted in a unique cream colour that the owners commissioned especially. He knocks on the door to room 6, and Mrs. Fairfax opens it. She's in her 40s, with bright blue eyes that are now red, and perfectly cut blonde hair that she's tied back. "I didn't quite," he begins, but she starts talking. "It's Morris. Look." She points to the bed, but James can't see it from the doorway, so he steps inside. Morris Fairfax is dark-haired and naked. James doesn't react, as he's witnessed plenty of private scenes in his time working in the hotel industry. "He's not breathing," she says. James walks over to the man and pulls the duvet up across his lower body. Then James leans in to listen for breath sounds. He can't hear any, and he pulls out his mobile phone. James places the screen under the man's nose to see if any warm air from his nostrils clouds the glass. But there's none. He turns back to the woman, who is now a widow. "What do we do?" she says. "I'll call the police, Mrs. Fairfax. I don't want any fuss. Morris wouldn't want any fuss. We're flying out from Heathrow today." James narrows his eyes and knows that people in trauma often keep hanging on to plans and schedules to comfort themselves despite their whole world now being turned upside down. "Madam, She looks directly at him and her face is loaded with the expectation that he'll just do as she says.
Mrs. Fairfax, it's not our decision to make. It's the law.
She frowns now.
We've been staying at St. Anne's Hotel for a decade. Surely we can be treated as privileged clients?
He doesn't say what he's thinking, but instead he says,
We'd better lock the room, madam. I can give you another room to gather yourself together. Number 7 is empty, next door.
Mrs. Fairfax nods and makes a tiny affirmative noise. Then he helps her gather some items so that she can shower and dress. Then he takes her to the next room.
Can I get you some tea, madam? Or breakfast, perhaps? Thank you, James.
She has read his name badge.
Let me call someone I know, madam. She can help us?
Mrs. Fairfax smiles. He leaves the room and drops back down the stairs, goes into the office behind reception and dials a number on his mobile. After Olivia Street steps out of the shower and pulls on a white shirt and grey business suit, she checks her phone on the bedside table. There's a voice message, and she listens to it, then returns the call.
Mr. Carter?
She says. Sorry, I missed your call.
Miss Street? After you helped us with the legal work last year, I wonder if you are available to attend at the hotel today?
What do you need help with?
One of our guests has sadly passed away in the night, and I wanted to be certain about what we need to do and the legal position.
You've called the police? She says.
Not yet. I've only just been notified of the death.
I can call them now, says Olivia. Then I'll come straight over. They end the call, and Olivia tries her Scotland Yard contact, Inspector Mirren, but he's on leave. And Mirren's number 2, Sergeant Faye Cooper, answers the call. She says that she'll get someone sent round to the hotel. Olivia walks into the kitchen where Poppy is eating scrambled egg and bacon.
What are you doing today?
She says.
I was going to see some friends later, because I finished my essay last night on torts.
Want to come and see a dead man in a hotel? There may be some torts involved. Negligence or liabilities.
Yeah, cool.
They walk to London Bridge Station and take the Northern Line to Bank, then the Central Line, and emerge into the morning daylight at Tottenham Court Road. As they arrive in the reception, James is dealing with a guest in his 60s, and they wait until the transactions are complete. Then the doors slide apart as the man walks out into St. Anne's Court. Olivia and Poppy walk up to the desk, and James smiles.
Hello again, Miss Street.
This is Poppy, my daughter. She's a law student and is helping me today. He nods and smiles at Poppy.
Shall we go up?
He says, to them both. There's a brunette woman in the back office, and James puts his head around the door.
Maddie, can you cover, please?
He doesn't wait for her to answer before walking to the lift and pushing the button. At the door to room 6, James swipes his master key through the electronic lock and leads them inside.
What on earth?
He says out loud when he looks across the room. What is it? Says Olivia.
He's gone.
The body? She says. Where was he?
On the bed. I checked for signs of life.
Were you absolutely certain?
I know a corpse when I see one.
He looks at her.
I don't understand.
Was he on his own in the room? She says.
No, he was with his wife. I put her in 7 to rest.
Let's talk to her then. James leads them out and along the corridor. Then he knocks on room 7. Mrs. Fairfax opens the door.
Any news, James? Your husband, madam.
He begins.
Have you seen him?
She frowns.
What are you talking about?
He's not next door, madam, says James.
What do you mean?
Her voice is still frail. Mrs. Fairfax, is it? I'm Olivia Street. I'm a lawyer. Mr. Carter called me to help.
Can we all perhaps go inside and discuss this?
No one says anything, so Olivia herds them all into room 7. There are 2 chairs, which Mrs. Fairfax and Olivia sit on, whilst James and Poppy sit on the bed.
This is my daughter, Mrs. Fairfax. She's assisting me. But let's take a step back, says Olivia. James has told me that you found your husband's apparently dead body this morning, and you called James to the room.
Yes.
He tells me that he checked for signs of life, but there were none.
That's right.
We've all just come from room 6, but your husband is no longer there.
Mrs. Fairfax pulls her eyebrows together.
You haven't seen him since earlier, when you were in the room with James? Says Olivia.
No, I've been in here. They brought room service breakfast. Then I slept briefly.
Did you check your husband for life signs? Says Olivia to her.
I'd know if my husband was dead, wouldn't I?
She's suddenly defensive.
Could I ask, Mrs. Fairfax, what did your husband do?
Personal finance. He advises private individuals on investment strategies.
Successfully? Says Olivia.
This is a 5-star hotel, and we stay here all the time. What do you think?
There's a pause, and Olivia makes the decision that this questioning is too soon to be objective.
We'll leave you in peace, madam, thank you, she says.
Olivia stands, and Poppy and James follow her out.
Can you let us back into room 6, James? She says.
Once the door is shut, and James has returned downstairs, Poppy says,
She was angry, wasn't she? Trying to hide something, I think.
Grief does take on many forms, but yes. She seemed unnecessarily confrontational.
If someone's taken the body,
says Poppy,
you'd only do that to hide something, wouldn't you?
Removal of a significant source of DNA evidence is the most common reason. But there's another possible explanation.
What's that?
He may not have been dead.
They said he was, though.
They're not doctors or medically trained. Officially, only a doctor or a coroner can declare a death.
What about ambulance people?
They can do what's called verify a death, but it has to be confirmed later by a doctor. James and Mrs. Fairfax could have been mistaken.
So where is he?
Poppy screws up her face.
If he wasn't dead and he woke up, he'd be here, wouldn't he? Having a shower, or he would have gone to reception or called his wife to say he wasn't dead anymore.
All valid points, says Olivia. But let's swing it round and start with the evidence. Then draw conclusions from that. What's the evidence?
There was a body and now it's gone.
Possible explanations? Olivia puts one hand up and counts on her fingers. 1, it's been stolen.
2, he wasn't dead.
3, someone's lying. The bedroom door opens, and James leads a dark-haired, green-eyed woman in her 30s into the room.
Sergeant Faye Cooper,
she says to Olivia.
I tried to find another inspector, but there's no one free, so I called Mirren on his day off. He was fishing, but said I can cover this because he knows you and that you'll help.
Did he catch any fish? Says Olivia, smiling.
He never does. I'm not sure why he keeps putting himself through it.
They laugh, and Olivia introduces her daughter.
So, where's the body?
That's our first problem. It's gone. They repeat the discussion on possible explanations with Faye.
I've got forensics coming. Shall I tell them to stand down?
They'll still find something. I'd let them do their work.
I'll go and talk to the widow,
says Cooper.
See what she knows. She's difficult,
says Poppy, and she opens her eyes wider. They go their separate ways, and Olivia and Poppy drop down to reception. James is there, and Olivia asks him if they can talk more about the events of this morning. As he leads her into the back office, Olivia nods discreetly to Poppy to talk to the receptionist, Maddie, to see if the woman knows anything. The door to the office closes, and Poppy walks over to the desk.
How long have you been doing this? 3 years here, and 5 years before this at another boutique hotel on the South Bank near Battersea Power Station.
What's the best thing about it? She says.
Meeting the guests. I know that sounds corny, but they're all different. All have their stories. I may only be an extra in the movie of their life, but at least I'm on the screen, eh?
What's the worst thing about the job?
Barry Dale.
Who's that?
One of the other managers,
she says.
They rotate on 3 8-hour shifts. James, who you've met, he's a sweetie, harmless. Daphne, who's in her 50s if she's a day. Been in the industry donkey's years but knows her stuff. Takes no shit, if you'll pardon my French.
And this Barry Dale bloke? What's the matter with him?
He's dishonest,
says Maddie.
On the fiddle. Wouldn't trust him as far as I can throw him.
Poppy can see in her eyes that the woman's dislike of him runs deep.
Like what? Getting stuff for guests and marking it up, so he takes a big wad of cash.
What sort of things does he get for the guests? She says.
It started with anything. A burger, a takeaway, a newspaper from some foreign country that you can only buy in one shop in Soho, and Barry knows where it is on some back street. He doubles the price and rakes off his profit. The guests are all rich. It makes no difference to them. Doesn't that happen everywhere in big hotels, though? In these posh places, they're paying for convenience. Isn't he charging them to take away the hassle? He provides other stuff too, if you know what I mean.
Maddie taps the side of her nose. Why doesn't Barry get the sack?
The guests love him, and he makes sure they write it in their feedback. The directors must think he's a god.
In the office, James makes 2 cups of tea. What do you know about Mr. and Mrs. Fairfax? Says Olivia.
They're regulars,
he begins.
They probably stay 3 or 4 times a year on average. They both work in finance. They met in their 20s in the City of London, but they live in Europe somewhere now.
How do you know all that?
Part of my job is knowing who stays,
he says.
The aim is to make it feel like they're home from home, even if it's only for one night.
So you research them all?
Not all of them. You can pick up little things from their questions, or what they chat about to each other when they're standing at the desk.
But with the Fairfaxes you have done research. She moves her head quizzically to one side.
I do a bit of investing, nothing big, not on my salary. Just a few £1,000s, a little nest egg. I knew Morris gave investment advice. So I asked him one day. He was all too happy to give me a couple of tips. They were good ones too. I got 20% on one of them.
How close are you with him? You just called him by his first name.
I'm not.
James looks uncomfortable, then hurriedly adds,
But anyway, I stopped asking him after that, when there were stories in the finance websites about him being linked to companies that were operating illegally. He lost money too. So I found other ways to decide what stocks to buy.
Do you know the name of the company that he was involved with? She says, and sips her tea.
Bull Craddock,
he says. Then he looks up through the glass at the reception desk.
I'd love to talk more, Miss Street, but it looks like Maddie's got a queue out there.
Olivia smiles and he walks out. Then Poppy puts her head around the door to the office.
I didn't get much,
she says. Let's go and see if Sergeant Cooper's forensics people have discovered anything, says her mother. They go in the lift to room 6, where the door is now open, but there's police tape across the entrance, and Cooper is standing just inside. Any forensics news, Sergeant? Says Olivia. The policewoman pulls back the tape for Olivia and Poppy to walk inside.
A couple of interesting discoveries, says Cooper. Firstly, traces of tetrodotoxin on the sheets. Oh, that's pufferfish, isn't it? Says Poppy. The death mimic. Freddie knows about it, says Cooper, and she calls across the room to one of the forensics team. Freddie, you got a sec?
A young man with bleached fair hair walks to them.
This toxin, says Cooper. Tell us about it.
One of the 5 substances that can create the appearance of death to the untrained eye, he says, along with barbiturates, opiates, antipsychotics, and atropa belladonna.
How does it work?
Says Poppy. It causes temporary paralysis, apnea, and slows the heart rate.
Can it be self-administered?
Says Olivia. That's nearly impossible. You don't know how long it takes before it kicks in, as it's dependent on an individual's biology. You also need to be highly accurate with dosage, or it's fatal. It needs knowledge to use. An amateur would struggle.
And how would someone get hold of it?
Says Poppy. It's only licensed for research, he says. Biological weapons, that sort of thing. They thank him, and he goes back to work. Olivia looks at Poppy and Sergeant Cooper.
That makes one of our possible explanations more likely. That our man wasn't dead after all, she says. But where did he go, if he woke up?
And,
says Poppy,
what's the point of doing it at all? Who'd want to appear to be dead? There was something else,
says Cooper.
His phone is still in the room. We looked at his messages, and there was a text from an unknown number at 1 a.m. All it said was, "I'm here."
And you traced the phone on the networks? Says Olivia.
It was a burner. It was turned off less than a minute later, and nothing since, but it was in the same cell as the hotel.
Central London mobile phone cells are tiny, so the sender was close by. Either they were in the building or just outside, says Olivia. Did you talk to Mrs. Fairfax, Sergeant?
Only briefly. She was evasive. She definitely knows more than she's saying, says Poppy.
Well, we need to go to the Lion's Den, Poppy, and talk to her. But before that, can you look something up on your phone? Bull Craddock. It's a finance company.
The girl types and swipes.
It's a private investment company. It provides portfolio management for HNWIs. What are those?
High net worth individuals, says Olivia. Defined as people with at least £1 million in cash in their bank.
Poppy reads on.
The company was a big success, it says here, until 2 years ago, when they made some bad decisions and lost a lot of money for their clients. Then they got sued by 3 of them.
Is Maurice Fairfax mentioned anywhere, with links to Bull Craddock?
Oh, yes, he's a director,
says Poppy.
Him and one other bloke called Stephen Morton. They are the only 2 directors.
Okay, useful, she says. Let's go and talk to the possible widow.
They walk along the corridor to room 7 and knock. A man who is over 6 foot high, with short grey hair and dark eyes, opens the door.
Yeah,
he says.
Olivia and Poppy Street, we are working for the hotel. Can we talk to Mrs. Fairfax?
Why?
We're helping to find out what happened with her husband.
Why?
Where a death occurs, sir, the hotel have tort responsibilities.
She flicks her eyes to Poppy. He takes a deep sigh.
All right.
He opens the door further but stays in the way, so they have to move around him to get inside.
Mrs. Fairfax,
says Olivia.
Could we talk? Are you feeling more rested?
Yes, thank you.
The man follows them over and stands ominously close. Olivia sits and looks up at him.
And you are, sir?
Stephen Morton.
Olivia raises her eyebrows and keeps looking at him to encourage more information.
I'm Belinda's accountant, he says.
Olivia smiles politely. Could I ask you to sit, sir? She waits, and after 2 seconds, when she can see that he is considering a refusal, he drops down into the second chair in the room. Your husband's body has gone, Mrs. Fairfax. It seems likely that he was given or self-administered a toxin that imitates death to the untrained eye. The woman looks sullen and briefly turns her gaze to Stephen Morton. Is there anything that you'd like to say about that, Mrs. Fairfax?
No.
Olivia can see the woman has decided that her best strategy is denial. Where do you think your husband is now? She says.
I have no idea.
You don't seem concerned, Mrs. Fairfax. The woman says nothing. And in Olivia's experience, when a witness collapses into denial, it means that they have run out of lies to tell, as their planned alibi wasn't detailed enough. They talk on for another 5 minutes, but the woman sidesteps all of the questions. As they walk back out into the corridor, Sergeant Cooper has news.
That burner's been switched on,
she says.
In this cell. It's here, somewhere. They've got Wi-Fi here, haven't they?
Says Poppy.
Yeah, of course. Do you know the number of the burner? Yeah. There'll be a Wi-Fi box somewhere that shows the phones connected to the Wi-Fi and their numbers. If the phone's on the Wi-Fi, we can get a closer pinpoint on its location.
Let's try that, says Olivia. They hurtle to the lifts, then down to reception. James leads them to a cupboard where the technology is housed, and Poppy describes what they need, and he navigates through servers and folders until he finds the information about live Wi-Fi sessions.
There they are,
says Poppy.
The phone's on the Wi-Fi, on that hotspot. Where is that? In the basement,
he says.
Come on,
says Olivia. The 4 of them hurry down to the subterranean floor below the hotel. At the bottom of the stairs there's a large steel door, and James swipes the lock. Then they push out into a bare, concrete-lined room, 50 yards long, with a ramp for vehicles to get down from street level.
Car parking,
says James. At the far end of the space, they can see a man, but he steps out of sight. They move as quickly and quietly as they can towards the end of the room. When they're 20 feet away, the man steps out again from behind a row of large wheeled waste bins that are lined up along the end wall. Now they can see the man's face. And James says,
Barry, what are you doing here? I thought you'd gone home.
Just sorting out a few things, Jimmy. He smiles, but everyone can see that he's nervous. I'm Olivia, Barry. I'm working for the hotel to clear up details on Mr. Fairfax. Have you seen him?
Who?
A guest, Barry, who's been here many times. Surely you know him.
There are so many.
He tries to laugh.
I'm a police officer, sir,
says Cooper.
Would you step out and away from the bins, please?
The sergeant walks over and inspects behind the bins.
There's a body,
she says.
A man who matches the description of Morris Fairfax.
The sergeant checks the pulse.
He's dead. Again.
Then she looks at Barry.
What happened, dear sir? You supply some things to the guests, we know,
says Poppy.
Some bland stuff, but some illegal stuff too. Did you source pufferfish toxin to Mr. Fairfax so that he could appear to be dead?
Barry looks shocked and guilty.
Why did he want to do that? Continues the teenager. Who wants to appear to be dead?
Barry is silent and Cooper says,
If you know something, sir, you're better off talking now rather than later.
He pauses, then says,
I didn't kill him. He had debts. He'd lost everything. He was living on credit. He wanted to be declared dead so his debts would be cleared. He had big life insurance.
But something went wrong, says Olivia.
Did he self-administer the toxin, but got the dose wrong? And he woke up too early?
Barry nods.
I'd arranged with a guy I know at a funeral director's to come in and take him away to a rented house on the coast until he'd recovered. But Fairfax woke up, panicked, and messaged me about more toxin because he needed to be declared dead, officially, by a doctor. I was just the supplier, though. The Fairfaxes planned it all with that other bloke, Morton. I'll testify against them. Would you come with me, sir?
Says Cooper, and she leads him away across to the stairs. Over the next hour, the forensics team move down to the basement and confirm that toxin overdose is the cause of death. James stands at the doors to the hotel and shakes the hands of Olivia and Poppy. Then they walk out along St. Anne's Court and they turn into Dean Street.
Death by suicide,
says Poppy.
Have you ever had a case like that before, Mum?
I haven't. There's a first time for everything.
We could have lunch out to celebrate,
says Poppy.
Celebrate what?
That it's my birthday this year, sometime. All right, not for 4 months, but better late than never, Mum.
Olivia smiles, and the two of them dissolve away into the crowds in Soho. The Street Files, a complete mystery short story, every Wednesday.